Upper Demerara Hospital's medical superintendent denies hoarding medical supplies. Body of Pomeroon farmer found after GDF boat collision. National COVID-19 task force's relief efforts stymied by lack of 2020 budget. In the region, PAHO Director calls for expanded COVID-19 testing in the Americas. And internationally, United Nations Security Council has trouble working from home. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am George Gonzalez. Thank you for joining us. Today, Public Relations Officer for the GUYANA Elections Commission, Yolanda Ward, told the members of the media that the National COVID-19 Task Force has agreed to 8 stations containing 14 persons each, while the remaining 2 stations will hold 10 persons each. This allows for a total of 132 persons present during the national recount of votes in the 2020 general and regional elections. Following a visit to the Arthur Chung Conference Center on Monday, the NCTF presented its report to GCOM. The report also included 14 recommendations the Commission should follow to ensure the safety of all involved. Meanwhile, the Commission met today to finalize the draft order. After that, the Commission will proceed to gazette and publish it. However, the start date for the recount will not be calculated until they receive a response from the CARICOM delegation as to their arrival date. In this report, Esther Sobers tells us that the body of a farmer that went missing after a boat accident on the Pomeroon River has been found.
A search team has located the body of 32-year-old farmer Ryan Keum in the Pomeroon River on Wednesday. Keum had fallen overboard after the Guyana Defense Force vessel had reportedly crashed into his boat on Monday night. His wife, 26-year-old Chandini Keum, was also involved in the accident along with 2 workmen. They were returning home after selling at the charity market. She alleges that the 4 GDF ranks were imbibing before leaving the wharf at Charity and their vessels had no headlights. A search team found Keum's body floating in the river, a short distance away from the crash site. There were severe injuries to his head and legs. The captain of the vessel is in police custody, while 3 other ranks that were on the vessel are in the custody of the senior army officer. The GDF has since opened its own investigation into the matter as well. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. This morning, Chairman of the National COVID-19 Task Force, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, spoke to the media regarding the government's local response to the global coronavirus pandemic. Chairman Nagamutu emphasized the need for the government to start considering long-term means of supporting the nation during the pandemic. They have since established an interministerial subcommittee that will work to determine who is the most vulnerable in society and how best to provide aid to them. The task force has also expanded the definition of essential businesses to include the mining industry and attorneys at law. The hope is to balance the need to keep citizens safe while mitigating the lockdown's negative economic effects. The Ministry of Business has since surveyed many local companies to determine how best to support them during this time as well. Nagamutu noted that the government will take a particular focus on small businesses such as vendors and small-scale manufacturers. However, he divulged that many of the fiscal measures the task force would like to undertake are impossible at the moment due to the fact that the general elections are still ongoing.
Remember, there is no budget, as I had said. So there is no contingency fund that you could draw. We need to resolve our political problems and we need to move on as a nation and as a government to deal with these very pressing matters of how to stimulate our economy, how to keep production going, how to keep jobs going. We need to address these very, very important issues. But as I said, we are hamstrung by the political problematics that face us at this point in time.
Nevertheless, the Ministry of Finance has made overtures to several international bodies for aid during this period. According to the NCTF's chairman, they are awaiting responses from several entities. Stick around. Coming up after the break, Upper Demerara Hospital's medical superintendent denies hoarding medical supplies, and Guyana to receive aid from U.S. government to fight COVID-19.
Hurry down to Zasco on 15 North Road between Camp and Wellington Streets. Quality products at low cost for every room in your home. 65 and 55 inches high-stand 4K smart TVs. Samsung French door fridges. Black & Decker appliances, queen and king size Canadian-made mattresses. German-made pressure pots in 5 to 9 liters. 12-piece pot sets, knife sets, cutlery sets and pans, commercial fans. Samsung smart stoves. Canadian-made 3-piece recliner sofa sets. Air fryers and Hamilton Beach hot and cold water dispenser.
For that reliable, prudent and courteous traveling experience, your choice is G3 Cabs, located at 228-229 Aubrey Barker Road and Beverly Close, South Rentville Gardens. Travel in comfort and safety with our deluxe fleet of new vehicles and neatly trimmed drivers serving our customers around Georgetown. We deliver cooking gas, small packages, run errands, and provide minor vehicular roadside assistance such as jump starts of vehicles, flat tires, spare wheel assistance, and more. Contact us on 218-4982 or 218-4500. G3 Cabs. You can count on us.
Oh gosh, what is this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. This is what I could do here.
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Singh and I'm the Senior Teacher at the Director After School Program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online side, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Public Telecommunications has acquired 20 tablets on the behalf of the Georgetown Public Hospital. According to the ministry, the items, which were handed over on Tuesday, will be used by patients in the hospital's Isolation Intensive Care Unit. The Isolation Intensive Care Unit has a capacity for 16 patients and was recently established to provide care for COVID-19 patients who require intensive treatment. The GPHC officials believe that the tablets will provide psychosocial support for patients who are separated from their families. The tablets will allow patients in this unit to communicate with their family members since they are not allowed to have visitors while in isolation. On the same day, the ministry also presented 1,000 masks to the hospital and 150 to the National Community Policing Organization of Guyana at the Ministry of Public Security. The medical superintendent of the Upper Demerara Hospital claims that a minister of government's Facebook post has inadvertently opened him up to threats and public ridicule. In this report, BB Backus tells us that the superintendent, Dr. Steve Mark, wants to make it clear that he is not hoarding medical supplies.
Medical Superintendent of the Upper Demerara Regional Hospital, Dr. Steve Mark, was recently accused of withholding medical supplies from the staff of the facility. The accusations stem from the reaction to a post on the Minister of Public Health's Facebook page. The post highlighted the work that the ministry has been doing to address COVID-19, contrary to the complaints of some unnamed health officials. The post was accompanied by photos of medical supplies the Ministry of Public Health allocated to Region 10 the day prior. However, Some supporters of the incumbent government took the post as a veiled reference to Dr. Mark. That is when he began to receive a flood of hate mails, threats, and accusations of politically motivated behavior.
I've been getting threats, I've been getting calls, people are calling for me to be shot. And the bad thing is that no one from the region is saying anything. Not the CEO, not the RHO, not nobody.
Dr. Mark, a medical professional for 27 years, is calling for the ministry to investigate the matter as he feels that the negative press is tarnishing his reputation. He emphasizes that he is not hoarding the supplies as he is not in charge of its distribution.
I want to speak on the official channel. Official channel, there is a person who is the senior sister of the hospital for many, many years, and she has been dealing with the whole stores and collection and going to the region and putting the stores in relevant areas and even budgeting, allocating to the staff. And she has been doing an excellent job. I can't say she have not. Okay. So, first of all, I have nothing as a superintendent and many other superintendents. We don't deal with stores. That's the first thing. The second thing, the stores was not found in my office, anywhere near my office. It was not found in any office that I have keys to. In fact, I only have one key, and that is for my office. I have a confidential secretary that is here, and she can vouch for that, but nobody seems to want to talk to anybody. The security guard and the internal security of the hospital knows that I don't have access to any store's key and hold no storage position, none whatsoever. Not a store for the mortuary, not for the generator, not for no aisle, not for no nothing, just my office.
Some of the nurses from the hospital took to Facebook to defend Dr. Mark, causing some of the original accusers to amend their posts. The Upper Demerara Hospital Medical Superintendent said that he and his team are not guilty of withholding or hoarding any of the supplies. The hospital is expected to release a statement on the matter shortly, while the Ministry of Public Health could not be reached for comment. For Headline News Update, Bibi Bacchus.
Thanks, Bibi. The United States government, through the U.S. Caribbean Resiliency Partnership and the Regional Caribbean Office of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is releasing $475,000, which is the equivalent of 100 million Ghana dollars, to help address Guyana's priority areas of laboratory diagnostics and systems strengthening and supply surveillance, infection prevention and control, as well as emergency operations centers. The funds are part of a regional funding package of $3 million provided to support the current COVID-19 response throughout the Caribbean. The CDC will coordinate with Guyana's Ministry of Public Health and its regional partners to disperse these funds rapidly and implement the activities. Don't go away. Coming up after the break, PAHO Director calls for expanded COVID-19 testing in the Americas, and United Nations has trouble with working from home.
Hurry down to Zasco on 15 North Road between Camp and Wellington Streets. Quality products at low cost for every room in your home. 65 and 55 inches high-end 4K smart TVs. Samsung French door fridges. Black & Decker appliances, queen and king size Canadian-made mattresses. German-made pressure pots in 5 to 9 liters. 12-piece pot sets, knife sets, cutlery sets and pans, commercial fans. Samsung smart stoves. Canadian-made 3-piece recliner sofa sets. Air fryers and Hamilton Beach hot and cold water dispenser.
For that reliable, prudent and courteous traveling experience, your choice is G3 Cabs, located at 228-229 Aubrey Barker Road and Beverly Close, South Renville Gardens. Travel in comfort and safety with our deluxe fleet of new vehicles and neatly trimmed drivers serving our customers around Georgetown. We deliver cooking gas, small packages, run errands, and provide minor vehicular roadside assistance such as jump starts of vehicles, flat tires, spare wheel assistance, and more. Contact us on 218-4982 or 218-4500. G3 Cabs. You can count on us.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
Oh gosh, what's this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I gonna do here?
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Singh and I'm the Senior Teacher at the Director After School Program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online site, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
A face mask only works if it is put on, used, and removed properly. This is a surgical mask. Before putting on a face mask, you must wash your hands properly with adequate soap and water for at least 20 seconds, or use a hand sanitizer with 60% or more alcohol. Before putting on your face mask, you should also check your mask for holes and tears. And remember to identify the top of the mask. The top of the mask has a metal strip. Put the mask on by holding the 2 elastic loops. Place one loop on one ear at a time. Pull the bottom of the mask to cover your mouth and chin. Place the mask over your nose. Pinch the stiff edge of the mask to the shape of your nose. Remember, do not pull down your mask while in use. Do not touch your mask while in use. If you do, please wash your hands immediately. To remove the face mask, hold the elastic loops from the back of your ear, pull them apart, do not snap, and pull it downwards. Then place in a bin with cover. Do not forget that as soon as you take off that face mask, you need to wash your hands immediately. Also, replace your mask once damp.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. The director of the Pan American Health Organization, Dr. Carissa F. Etienne, called for accelerated and expanded testing for the coronavirus in countries of the Americas, including the Caribbean. As of April 23rd, there have been over 900,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and over 42,000 people have died in the region of the Americas. The PAHO Director said that countries have been prepared to test and detect cases of COVID-19 since before the pandemic was declared. But as cases have increased, countries have found it increasingly difficult to keep up. Dr. Etienne highlighted that PAHO's recommendations are for countries to expand their capacity and use all available national laboratories to prioritize patients with symptoms, tracing contacts, and following up with those that may be infected, and to ensure access for all so testing would be free of charge for patients. Colombia's government has announced that its lockdown will be extended for another 2 weeks until May 11th, but vulnerable people are going hungry in the capital of Bogota. With the local and national government struggling to reach all those in need, many have resorted to hanging red flags from their windows to signal that they need help. Al Jazeera's Alessandro Rampietti reports.
A silent cry for help. Red rags, pieces of cloth, even shirts signaling that inside, behind those windows, there's a family in need. They have become a potent symbol of the effects of the lockdown on the most vulnerable Colombians, a visible measure of the daily rise in poverty and hunger. Miguel Gomez, father of 2 young girls, says the rags have multiplied across his neighborhood, home to many people displaced by Colombia's internal conflict. Like most, he lost his work and saw how his pantry emptied out.
Often we are down to eating once a day. At the beginning, neighbors helped us with some food, but now they also ran out. The government says, stay in, but we can't eat boards or tiles.
The government and municipal authorities say some help is on the way, a first payment of $140 for each family in need, but no one here has received it yet. So some have built barricades with stones and burned tires. This sign says they're starving people to death.
We are hungry. There are babies dying of starvation because the aid hasn't arrived. I'm here in the morning, at night, at all times, and nothing is coming.
Helping the roughly 20 million Colombians who work in the informal sectors requires a colossal effort on part of the government. And at least until now, it seems like there simply isn't enough help, or it's taking too long to reach many of them. The city of Bogota says it's spending $55 million in aid, delivering bags of food door to door. Yet, despite the efforts, the mayor recognizes the delay.
We already sent money to 280,000 families and 1.7 million bags of food. And even with such a monumental operation in 3 weeks, we are still missing people.
And there's another national disease complicating the efforts: corruption. Government watchdog entities found evidence of money embezzlement in thousands of contracts meant to combat the crisis.
I think that what we have now in Colombia is actually 3 pandemics: the coronavirus, hunger, and corruption. What this virus is showing us is just how inequitable and unjust our social and political system is.
A crisis upon a crisis that seems impossible to keep up to as the needs continue to pile up. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera, Bogota.
And internationally, the coronavirus pandemic is making global diplomacy more complicated. For the first time in its history, the United Nations Security Council has been meeting remotely. But those sessions have been plagued by technical difficulties. Al Jazeera's James Bays reports.
We're now living in a virtual world, and the UN Security Council, the body in charge of maintaining international peace and security, is not sitting in its historic chamber in New York. Instead, ambassadors are operating remotely, but technically it's been far from smooth.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perhaps not unpredictably, some are forgetting to mute their microphones when they're not speaking.
To serve the long-term objectives of unity, COVID-19. I will also like...
we need all mics closed, please.
Sometimes meetings have had to be interrupted because of technical issues.
Excuse me, Mr. Sia, excuse me, we have to pause. I have a request to pause. For US has technical problems and Tunisia can't hear very well.
And then resumed.
I want to apologize for the technical difficulties we have had today.
Today's conversation is especially important, as in the statement that Sven gave, we are...
The biggest problems have come in connecting with the US ambassador Kelly Craft. While other ambassadors have stayed in New York, she, during the pandemic, has retreated to her home in Kentucky, and the connection has been difficult.
Kelly, I lost you.
In the end, her deputy based in New York had to read out her speech on her behalf.
since our ambassador was disconnected and has been unable to reconnect to this system, I will deliver the remarks of the United States from this point.
How happy is the UN with the technology that it's providing to the Security Council? If UN Security Council members can't hear each other, how are they supposed to speak to the world?
We are all trying our best to accommodate the Security Council and all member states, and we will continue to work through whatever technical hitches there may have been.
Then would have to adjourn the session, the meeting. Thank you.
While all over the world, meetings, even school lessons, are taking place on platforms like Zoom, the UN is using an old conferencing system. It's based in Brindisi in Italy rather than here in New York. The Security Council represents the entire international community, but for now its technology does not seem fit for purpose. James Bays, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations.
That's all for today's regional and international news. Here is your 3-day weather forecast. That's all for this edition of Headline News Update. Tune in Friday at 6 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Also, visit our website at headlinenewsguyana.com for all the news we couldn't fit in the newscast. Until then, take care.